Alright, what's up guys, Shane here today to do the best, well, it's supposed to be top 10, but it's actually, I've been quite busy lately, so I only have top 5, and for both best and worst. And normally I would do more, but of course with getting a new job and everything, I won't tell you my whole life story with this, but I'm gonna do my best with this anyways. At some points I'm gonna be brief, but at other times I'm gonna go into detail with this kind of thing. And trust me, it'll go into detail when it comes to worst. But without further ado, let's go ahead and go to the top 5 best of this year for me.
Number 5.
Alright, so number 5 for me would be Don Jon. Don Jon was a very interesting movie to me because when it first started out, I was pretty skeptical because I don't really like the whole club scene when it comes to that kind of thing where some guys just go out just to get laid and everything. It really portrayed the whole Jersey thing pretty well. Nothing like Jersey Shore, let's not like go down that road. Don Martello is your typical Italian American who goes out to clubs and tries to get laid and everything, but he has this whole thing with pornography. He's kind of what they say addicted to it, I would say, where he prefers it over sex for a couple reasons. Now this movie goes into the gritty, not too gritty nitty with sexual intercourse and whatnot. You get to see things obviously, but at the same time it's not one of those where it's like you're going to learn everything just by watching this movie. No. It's just a matter of like perspective. People do prefer pornography towards actual intercourse and everything like that, but Don Jon here, as his nickname goes, really preferred it just for a couple of reasons, because he couldn't find that one woman that made him feel, you know, lost. Until he meets this one girl over at the club who he tried to have a one-night stand with. Barbara did pretty well, and of course with the whole Jersey accents and whatnot, you know how that goes. But it turns out she's not exactly all it's cracked up to be. I got a really good message out of this movie, that sometimes we need to get lost in one thing or another, and it just takes some time in order to find that one special person that will be able to do that for you. Overall, though, I have to say, this movie was actually exceeded my expectations. Austin showed it to me and said, hey, you need to watch this because it's one of the best of the year, and I said, alright, sure. Skeptical, but came out saying, hey, that was really good. So honestly, that is why it's number 5.
Number 4.
Alright, number 4 for me. Very good film, actually. It didn't exactly hit my expectations, but either way, without further ado, it's The World's End. World's End. Very, very good film, actually. So, of course, it's a British comedy, which is actually not so dry. We have all the main characters. Of course, we have Simon Pegg and Nick Frost as the main 2 characters, but instead of Nick playing as the one that, you know, is very irresponsible, he usually plays the irresponsible characters back in the other 2 movies. Now it's actually Simon Pegg playing as that. And he does a really good job with that. The point of the film, what they were trying to do is that back when they were just graduating out of school, they tried to do a pub crawl where they go to 13 different bars and try to drink at every single one and reach the final one, which was known as the World's End. As they're going through all this, things start to be pretty weird, and that's when the aliens start to show up, where people are like clones. Now, this movie was very, very humorous. I laughed throughout the entire film, honestly. I wouldn't say, though, technically it would not be better than Shaun of the Dead, and Hot Fuzz may be better than Hot Fuzz. It's been a while since I've seen that one, so I can't really compare too much. But honestly, people say that British humor is pretty dry. This was actually, you'll be able to get this stuff spot on, honestly. It's really, really funny. Great action, actually, a lot of good action scenes. And the acting was fantastic and everything. It was a really good end to the entire trilogy, and honestly, I don't think they should stop making movies. This was really good. That's why it's number 4. Number 3 was a very recent film. I had high expectations for it, of course, and it did meet those expectations, but without further ado, it is The Hobbit Part 2. Now, some people would disagree with me. Some people don't like Lord of the Rings and such like that, and it is not technically my favorite fantasy setting and anything like that, but this was really good. Now, unfortunately, I hear that it didn't really stick to the book very much, actually kind of butchering it, but this is someone's perspective who hasn't read the books. This is someone who is just going in not knowing what the prequels were like before, and honestly, really, really fun throughout everything. Especially the river scene with the barrels. Honestly, acting was very spot on too. There was no bad parts. Everybody had everything spot on. I don't know, I cannot actually praise this movie enough. Now there's some parts where I thought the CGI was pretty iffy because
there were 2 shots in particular.
Yeah, and by the end of the film, up against Smaug, the CGI for him was absolutely fantastic. Benedict Cumberbatch, he did a fantastic job of voicing Smaug. Like, I was impressed. He did Khan from Star Trek Into Darkness, which was also very fantastic. It leads off to a cliffhanger, obviously, because there's 3 parts to the movie. I cannot wait till next year.
Number 2.
Number 2 It's very much more lighthearted than the rest of them. It has also the very good message, but I'll get to that in a moment. It is Monsters University. Cannot praise this movie enough, honestly. Now, Pixar, yet again. Stunning masterpiece yet again. I didn't really feel like it was as original as, well, the original, I guess, but at the same time, so much fun to go through it all. It had a really great message by the end of the film. It's just a really good prequel altogether. The voice acting for everything, fantastic again. The animations, amazing. The visuals were so good. I was actually impressed. I cannot love this movie enough. Now, the message I got from this is to basically follow your dreams no matter what. And I really, really like that. It was a very, very positive thing no matter what they faced off against. They handled it. Fantastic movie. I really cannot praise it enough, guys.
It's number one.
Number one for me was Intense. Actually, had to walk out of the film for a little while, and that would be 12 Years a Slave.
Oh,
This-
Joe's happy about that.
This movie, oh my god, this movie. I couldn't believe how intense this was. Like, honestly, I don't really know much about, like, how they do special effects like that, but I swear to God to you, it was, like, real. You get to see what it was like to be a slave and everything like that. It is the worst experience ever. You get to see the whippings, you get to see how they were treated and everything like that. It was awful. Oh, I actually had to sit out of the movie for just a little while because I couldn't.
You and Cody walked out of it.
Yeah, I could not actually. It's not like I couldn't handle it. It was just. It was
It's
intense.
depressing. It's
It was.
depressing.
It was so depressing. Like, it was so bad. By the end of the film, it made you feel a little better, but at the same time, you kind of just want to watch something a little bit more lighthearted. And if you want to still be within the same setting as that is, I suggest Django Unchained. The acting was so good. I really enjoyed it though. It surpassed my expectations. I thought, oh, I'm gonna go in thinking, oh, this is a bit depressing and everything. I was like, oh my god. But I seriously suggest that you all watch this one because it really proves an insight. Because when you go into school and learn about this kind of thing, they skip over the really gritty details about what happened. Yeah, you heard that it got whipped, but do you know what it looks like when when people get whipped? It is horrid. I probably will not be seeing this film again, but yet at the same time, best of the year, hands down. Of course, some of you might be thinking, oh, what about the other ones? Well, there's a couple other movies that I had to put in honorable mentions because 7 would be a very odd number. 2 honorable mentions was Star Trek Into Darkness and Pacific Rim. I wish I could put more on there, but I did not have the time to watch all these films. Now, I can't wait to tear into these worst of the year coming up here. Honestly, all these films, these top 5 that I've put on here, I suggest highly that you watch all of them. A lot of them have very good messages.
Seriously, do it. Do it. Do it.